Welcome to the Ontario Mortgage and Real Estate Insights Podcast, your go-to source for the latest developments, trends, and regulatory changes in the industry. I'm your host, I'm Sandy, your guest host from Keller Williams Legacies, here to provide you with insights sourced from reputable news outlets to help you stay informed.
Steve Hamoen here. This is brought to you by Real Approved Inc., a trusted mortgage brokerage dedicated to helping Canadians achieve their homeownership dreams. Visit realapproved.ca to learn more about how our experienced team can assist you with your mortgage needs. Let's dive into today's episode. Today we're tackling a very timely issue, the possibility of a Bank of Canada interest rate cut, especially in light of the recent job market turmoil. The Canadian economy lost a staggering 66,000 jobs in August, which has led many to speculate that the Bank of Canada might restart interest rate cuts. What do you think, Sandy?
Well, Steve, it's certainly a dramatic shift. The job numbers were a shock to many, with expectations initially set for a gain of 5,000 jobs. Instead, we saw a significant loss, which has understandably ramped up the market's bets on a rate cut. With the unemployment rate rising to 7.1%, it's hard to ignore the pressure mounting on the Bank of Canada to take action.
Absolutely, Sandy. The market's expectations for a rate cut at the bank's September 17th meeting jumped to over 70% from just 55% the previous day. That's a big leap in confidence. The job losses weren't just in sectors hit by U.S. tariffs either. We saw declines across the board, including in professional services and education. It seems like the economy is struggling more broadly than some might have thought.
That's true, Steve. Andrew Grantham from CIBC Capital Markets even pointed out that the weakening of the Canadian labor market isn't solely due to U.S. tariffs. He suggests that the Bank of Canada needs to restart interest rate cuts to stimulate demand and hiring across the economy. It's a sentiment echoed by Alexandra Brown from Capital Economics, who sees a September cut as almost certain, with another possible before year's end.
It's interesting, Sandy, because not all economists agree. Some, like Douglas Porter from BMO Capital Markets, are hesitant. He's pointed out that while the weak job report supports a bias for easing, inflation hasn't quite given the all clear. The Bank of Canada's mandate is to keep inflation close to its 2% target, and right now, overall inflation is at 1.7%, but core inflation measures are hotter, around 2.4%.
That's a crucial point, Steve. The bank has to balance these pressures carefully. Charles St. Arnaud from Alberta Central has warned that we might see more job losses in the months ahead, particularly in sectors affected by U.S. tariffs. He mentions that any signs of easing in inflation could prompt a rate cut in September, but a surprise uptick in inflation might delay it.
Exactly, Sandy. It's a complex situation with a lot of moving parts. The next inflation release on September 16th will be critical. If there's any easing in inflation, it might just tip the scales in favor of a rate cut. But if inflation surprises on the upside, the bank might hold off. It's going to be an interesting few weeks, that's for sure.
Our next topic today is about the Ontario Real Estate Association's recent call for urgent reforms to protect consumer deposits. The Ontario Real Estate Association is urging the provincial government to implement independent oversight over the Real Estate Council of Ontario. This move is fueled by concerns about consumer protection and the need for greater regulatory transparency.
That's right, Sandy. The Ontario Real Estate Association has been quite vocal about this issue. Since the review of the Real Estate and Business Brokers Act began in 2017, the Ontario Real Estate Association has consistently advocated for stronger consumer protections. They've emphasized the need for increased accountability and transparency at the Real Estate Council of Ontario, suggesting that oversight by an ombudsperson could be the solution.
It's interesting to see how this call for reform has gained traction across the province. From north to south, east to west, realtors are uniting behind this cause. The Ontario Real Estate Association's message is clear. Trust accounts are sacred, and consumer protection is non-negotiable. They argue that the Real Estate Council of Ontario cannot effectively police itself, and that independent oversight is necessary.
Absolutely, Sandy. The Ontario Real Estate Association's letter, which was supported by 9 of the largest member boards, underscores the widespread support for this reform. With the majority of the 23 local real estate boards backing this initiative, there's a strong collective voice urging the government to act. The Ontario Real Estate Association is pushing for the implementation of TRESA Phase 3, which would bring the Real Estate Council of Ontario under the Ontario Ombudsman's oversight.
The Ontario Real Estate Association's president, Kathy Poland, emphasized that consumers deserve the confidence that their life savings are secure, and realtors deserve a regulator that enforces the highest standards of accountability and integrity. This push for reform is about ensuring that Ontario's real estate market is fair and transparent for everyone involved.
It's a significant move, Sandy, and one that could reshape how real estate is regulated in Ontario. By advocating for independent oversight, the Ontario Real Estate Association is aiming to restore trust in the system and ensure that consumer deposits are protected. It'll be interesting to see how the government responds to this strong call for action. Today, we're diving into a compelling issue that's been causing a stir in the real estate market: mortgage fraud. A recent national poll conducted by Polaris Strategic Insights on behalf of Mortgage Professionals Canada and the Mortgage and Title Insurance Industry Association of Canada found that a significant majority of Canadians believe mortgage fraud is creating an unfair housing market.
That's right, Steve. According to the poll, 78% of Canadians feel that mortgage fraud creates an uneven playing field for honest buyers, and 64% think it drives up housing prices. It's a serious concern, especially for those planning to buy a home in the next 5 years, with 65% of them expressing worry about mortgage fraud.
And it seems there's a strong consensus for action. The poll indicates that nearly 2/3 of Canadians believe that the Canada Revenue Agency should play a role in preventing mortgage fraud. Additionally, 72% of those surveyed support allowing lenders and mortgage brokers to verify income information directly with the Canada Revenue Agency, which is a view shared across political lines.
It's clear that Canadians are calling for a fairer and more transparent system. Lauren Vandenberg, President and Chief Executive Officer of Mortgage Professionals Canada, mentioned that mortgage fraud not only undermines trust but also increases housing costs for everyone. She supports income verification through the Canada Revenue Agency as a practical solution to strengthen trust in the housing market.
And it's not just a national concern. The poll highlights that Ontarians, in particular, feel strongly about this issue, with 80% agreeing that mortgage fraud makes the market unfair for those who follow the rules. Rob V. Boudwa, the president and board chair of the Mortgage and Title Insurance Industry Association of Canada, emphasized the need for a secure income verification system to protect against fraud.
The federal government has been exploring ways to address this issue. In Budget 2024, there was a commitment to consult with the mortgage industry on developing an income verification tool via the Canada Revenue Agency. This tool aims to combat mortgage fraud by allowing real-time, secure income validation with borrower consent.
Yes, Sandy. And in July 2025, the Canada Revenue Agency released findings that confirmed strong industry support for a digital tool to verify income. Participants noted benefits like streamlined approvals and fraud reduction. However, there hasn't been a recent update on the progress of this tool, and there's a call for the federal government to prioritize its implementation in Budget 2025.
It's crucial for the government to act swiftly on this initiative. The potential benefits for homebuyers are significant, providing them with confidence that the mortgage process is secure and equitable. As the industry and consumer groups push for a digital income verification tool, it's a step towards ensuring a fair housing market for all Canadians. Our last topic today is a significant call for change in the Ontario real estate sector following the iPro Realty scandal. The Ontario Real Estate Association has urged the provincial government to bring the Real Estate Council of Ontario under the oversight of the Ontario Ombudsman.
That's right, Sandy. The scandal surrounding iPro Realty has raised serious questions about the accountability of the Real Estate Council of Ontario. The Ontario Real Estate Association argues that independent oversight is crucial to ensure consumer protection and maintain trust in the real estate industry.
The situation with iPro Realty is indeed concerning. They allegedly misappropriated funds within their consumer and commission trust accounts, which led to a significant shortfall initially reported at $10.5 million. This was eventually reduced to less than $8 million after some funds were repaid.
And the response from the Real Estate Council of Ontario has been criticized as lacking. They disclosed the issues months later and only after significant pressure. The Ontario Real Estate Association is advocating for the implementation of independent oversight to prevent such lapses in the future.
Kathy Poland, president of the Ontario Real Estate Association, emphasized that trust accounts are sacred and that consumer protection is non-negotiable. She believes that the current system doesn't provide enough accountability for the Real Estate Council of Ontario, which is why oversight by the Ontario Ombudsman is being proposed.
It's a complex issue, Sandy. On one hand, more oversight might restore trust and protect consumers, but on the other, it's important to consider the efficiency and effectiveness of such measures. Lawyer Daniel Tsai pointed out that this situation is a textbook example of regulatory failure, suggesting that the province might need to take over entirely.
Daniel Tsai also mentioned that the credibility of the Real Estate Council of Ontario has been severely damaged, and some believe the province should not only take over, but possibly disband and recreate the body to start fresh. It's a drastic measure, but might be necessary to restore trust.
Meanwhile, real estate lawyer Michael Amorjuev noted that although this scandal is rare, it highlights areas for improvement in the system. He emphasizes the need for restoring confidence among buyers and realtors to prevent a shift towards private deals, which could undermine professional oversight.
Frank Clayton, a senior research fellow, also stressed the importance of safeguarding deposit money and ensuring that regulatory bodies act swiftly when discrepancies arise. While the system generally works, this case shows it didn't act quickly enough, which is why the call for oversight is gaining momentum.
It's clear that change is needed to ensure the integrity of Ontario's real estate market. As this situation unfolds, it will be interesting to see how the government responds and whether these proposed reforms will be implemented. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Ontario Mortgage and Real Estate Insights podcast. We hope you found today's insights valuable as you navigate the world of mortgages and real estate.
Before you go, a quick reminder, Real Approved is here to make your mortgage journey smoother. Whether you're buying your first home or refinancing, their experienced team is ready to guide you with personalized support every step of the way. Visit realapproved.ca to get started and take the next step toward achieving your homeownership goals. Catch you next time and stay informed with the latest industry insights.